So, good morning. I would like to call to order the Town of Rome Utilities Committee meeting. As administrator, I'm just calling the meeting to order until we elect a chair and vice chair for the committee. Today is Monday, July 10th. It's 8:30 a.m. in the town hall, and I would do roll call, and I would start on my left, please.
Bill Capel here.
Lolker here.
Stoyl here.
If we could please do Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Robbie, could you certify the posting of the meeting, please?
I can. On July 5th, I emailed the town support at 1:13 p.m. On July 5th, I emailed Rapids Tribune at 1:14 p.m. I posted to the town hall on July 5th, 2023 at 3:20 p.m. I posted to Nicosia Port Edward State Bank on July 5th at 3:17 p.m. And I posted to Quick Trip on July 6th, 2023 because the board was full at Quick Trip. So I did that at 9:45 a.m.
Thank you. Could I have an approval of today's agenda? And I would note that there was a request if we would remove item number 17 because other than the presentation that was sent to committee members, there would be nothing more to report.
I'll move approval was changed.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 6 is citizen comments. We do have Emily Zeddies here, our zoning administrator. If you haven't all met Emily before, she's gonna chat about the cell phone towers that are being constructed here in the town. But other than that, with no other citizens, we would dispense with the reading of the citizen comment period. No action contemplated except possible referral to a future agenda, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, and current events. Is there anything that anyone would like to share?
I have nothing.
Nothing, Dan? No. Okay. And item number 8 is introduction of committee members. Bill has joined us. Do you want to share a little bit about yourself, Bill?
I've been appointed by the town board to fill a 9-month vacancy created when Lori was elected as the chairperson. And my previous background is a 30-plus year career in public works.
Bill's also being modest. He's been a great citizen committee member on a number of other committees, including one of our longest serving members from the CDA.
Used to be.
Amongst his bingo calling abilities.
Oh, yes, that's right.
That's off the record. That's side
I
job.
remember the voice, and then I'm like, where
That's a
are we
side
putting
job.
him? Yep. You and Wendy.
Yep.
That made my day. Thank you.
Bar's kind of dark at night.
So discussion and possible action on the following items. Item number 9 is discussion and action, election of officers. We would take a motion for a chair and a vice chair. If we wanted to start with chair.
See, we have a lot of people that are all excited about that.
Well, I'm just wondering if we should wait until we get the 2 new members and let you chair it as an interim chair until we get the other 2 members and then go and vote when all 5 members are present.
Yeah. Except, Bill, we were running with 4 members for over a year.
Were you?
Yes.
So it's unlikely that,
If we would get one more member, I think.
are you comfortable with letting Jamie chair it until such time that we at least add 1 member?
I agree with you, I'm comfortable with that.
I don't care. I think we should have a chair because there's some responsibilities the chair can do. But with Jamie, that's fine.
Well, I have no problem if you'd like to accept it. I'd make a motion that you would chair the utility committee.
Okay.
If Jamie would accept it, she can fulfill the responsibilities.
Yeah, I'm comfortable either way, but if you're interested, Dan.
Okay, but before you say Dan's gonna be your chair, you gotta understand where I come from. I'm not a bureaucrat, okay?
I understood.
And, you know, doing things just to do it, to say we got a punch list, we punched all these tickets, I'm not that person. I'm a project manager, a professional engineer, I work for a utility, and I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt. So, if we're gonna do a project, you know, my goal is to have it, and this is a problem statement, these are what the problem costs, this is the benefits by doing away with it, and this is what the project is gonna cost to implement, and then work on it. And that's the way that I like to do stuff, and if you two gentlemen don't agree with that, then Jamie should run the meeting for a while. Okay? So, you know, you gotta know where I'm coming from before you put me in that position. And I've been told I could be real demanding and all that other stuff, and, you know, but, whatever.
Well, before we move on to the question, 2 members, so oh, that's right, identically, it would be 5 members, right?
That's correct. And we just revisited it right before the meeting, but the next 2 members would need to have curbside service, so they'd have to be on the water utility. I know that we have advertised a couple times. We can continue to advertise, but sometimes it's most beneficial if you know someone that's on service that may have an interest to encourage them to apply.
I'm the non-service.
Correct.
So, whatever. You know, I don't like writing blank checks, and I don't expect you gentlemen to write blank checks either. And Bill, we've met,
I'm familiar with your approach. You were very clear in your approach when you were at the forum, so, and I'm familiar with what Six Sigma is, and I know that sometimes a project manager approach is not the wrong way. So I'm not uncomfortable with your chairing.
okay,
Is that a motion?
I'll move that we accept Mr. Stoyl as the chairperson for the utility committee.
Is there a second?
Okay? So it's dies for lack of a motion.
Okay.
What I propose, my motion would be, I make a motion that Jamie chair until we have a full board.
And you wouldn't have to necessarily make that motion because I couldn't hold the chair position. I think if the committee would be comfortable, we would just,
Temporary chair, or whatever you want to call it, yes.
I would call the meetings to order until we had the additional members brought on. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
It's not, it really can't be a motion because I can't serve as chair, so.
Right.
Just an agreement.
Well,
Just an
call
agreement.
Just an agreement.
Just an agreement.
So, yeah, and how would we,
It, just
State
note it
that.
in the minutes that, until a full committee is brought aboard, the administrator will call the meetings to order just to keep business moving forward. And Robbie and I, as the office manager and accountant, will, put forth the agendas as we
Okay.
have. Okay? Then item number 10 is discussion and possible action, approval of the February 7th, 2023 meeting minutes. If there are no concerns or corrections, I would take a motion for approval.
motion made?
second,
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Then discussion only, review February through May 2023 water utility financials. Robbie?
Are there any questions?
No questions?
Okay.
Question.
We're on budget. We have a couple of areas where we, are over budget, which I've noted on there. And that's from spending, getting chemicals in and everything, and Chad trying to close out before he leaves. We've spent, but.
How did you
stay
so
up.
note, Robbie,
What, honey?
how are they noted?
So the numbers on.
Numbers on the
very
side.
One,
right
two, three,
column,
four?
And
Yep,
then down the
that's what I
bottom is
thought.
your numbers,
Okay.
yep.
Have these been presented to the town board?
Yes, every month.
Okay, so they've really approved them.
They're part of the town board packet on the month, or the time when
So
we do
therefore,
financials.
We can look at them, we can question, but does it make a
They're
bit of
discussed.
difference if we approve them or not approve them? Because they've
Yeah.
already been approved by a higher
Right.
authority.
Right.
So, I think when we do the minutes or the agenda next time, they'll put approval on there, just say discussion.
Review or whatever, yep.
Yep, they're noted
is
as discussion
discussion
only.
only.
That's what it
Yep.
says.
Yep.
Oh, it does, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Any other questions on those? Okay. Then discussion only, water utility update. Robbie did provide I know she emailed it, and I think she gave a paper copy today too. Robbie, if you just wanna talk through,
Make sure I keep my own. Okay, real quick, but I have an updated one for you, Dave. Dave, it's just on the graph. The picture's a little bit different. So basically, this is everything that's happened from February through June. I'm not gonna go through every highlight point. Everybody knows that Chad has retired. He has remained on as our operator in charge because the operators do not have the proper certification to be the operator in charge for the DNR. Both boys are going to test this Wednesday. And then Joe has 2 tests to pass, and he goes this Wednesday and next Wednesday. And then within 2 weeks, we should know if they've passed the test to become an operator in charge. And if that case, then Chad's commitment with us will terminate at that point.
Okay, one is Joe and who's the other one?
Cody,
Cody.
and they both test on Wednesday.
they both test Wednesday. Cody has 1 test, iron infiltration to pass. And Joe has groundwater and iron filtration to pass.
Okay.
So the question is, they pass for operators? And the question with, the retirement, and then are they up for director?
No. At this moment in time, Robbie, as the manager and accountant for the water utility, will serve as their supervisor. She's giving them their individual assignments and approving their time cards. And then if they would move to that, actually for the first year, they're an operator in training before they become a full operator in charge. They need to ensure that they do a certain amount of training in that first year as they're an operator in training, moving to an operator in charge. But that the DNR is comfortable with that. They allow for that year transition. Then that individual would come back to town board for consideration about compensation given that extra responsibility. But Robbie would still remain as the manager and the individual giving out the individual assignments on a daily basis.
Okay, so my question would be, is the town board looking currently to fill the position?
Not at this time. It was felt from Chad, given, this is also on the agenda for today, but it was felt from Chad that given the water utility isn't going to make another large expansion at this point in time, and that we would stay likely at our current size for the foreseeable future, that 3 staff members did fulfill the workload, that there are time frames in the winter when things are slower, so there wouldn't be a need to have that extra position.
3 staff including Robbie? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Because was it 3 staff prior to Chad's retirement?
3 staff and the director, yes, so we had 4.
Okay.
And so now the 3 staff will fulfill. And one of the other things that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be testing for the operator in charge role also. So that I will be testing for the operator in charge role also,
Good.
so that we don't have this situation going forward where we didn't have one. We'll have a couple.
Good.
Are you testing Wednesday as well?
No, I have to go through classes, yeah.
Okay.
I would be by
Down the road.
November
Okay.
at the latest.
Now, Chad took with him phenomenal set of knowledge, okay? Between Robbie and Cody and Jose?
Joe.
Joe.
I'm sorry. Do they have enough background and history to plan out the preventive maintenance and things that we have to do all the time to keep the place running smoothly?
Yes,
Is it documented someplace?
yes. So we did get that information out of Chad before he left.
Okay,
So we have our plan, we know when towers need to be done, when wells need to be pulled, we know if there's issues that arise, I mean, we have it. And
Okay.
between Cody and Joe, I mean, we had a filtration issue on Monday last week, and they handled it, they figured it out, they knew what parts to order, done, seamless.
that's good.
Yep.
That, you know, that's the concern I had when I heard that Chad retired, that it is a business.
Right.
And we have to be able to do stuff, because if you drop one little thing,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
it might not bite you this year, but it could cause a disaster in the future.
Did Chad leave behind a capital main replacement program?
Yes, we had to provide it for the DNR,
Okay,
their site.
so there is one on record. So you have a roadmap?
Yep,
Okay.
Could we get a copy of that roadmap?
sure.
Just, you know, that's something that we should know, so we can ask questions as things come up.
Robbie did a good job though in one noting the standard operating procedures. So everyone has access to the OneNote system
Yep.
in the water utility. If something occurs, you can pull up that section.
Absolutely.
Well, that, you know, that's really good, and Robbie, I'm impressed with you, so I know that the documents should have been done, and you probably did it, I'd just like to have a copy of it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We can add that for next agenda. Any other questions about water utility update or anything else, Robbie, you wanted to bring up?
At this point, we're running smoothly, and hope to keep going that way.
Just one question
Yes.
on, down here, it says semi-annual flushing completed end of April.
Yes,
Was that done on time, ahead of time?
on time, yep,
It was scheduled to be done by end of
yes,
April. and you did
correct.
And I'm
Yep.
assuming that's hydrant flushing?
That's hydrant
Okay.
flushing. We will do that again at the end of September, beginning of October.
that. Okay, because that's the type of things that
Yes, we have on the schedule.
you have on the schedule.
That's the maintenance type
Yeah.
you were talking about, yeah.
Yeah. But it's good to know it was done on time.
Robbie, the auditors finished their, and I don't think we had a meeting prior to that, in a nutshell, the findings of the 2022 audit.
No issues were found, everything seamless, and I can share a copy of that with you at the next meeting if you'd like.
Just looking for a notation.
There wasn't anything found that wasn't previously found in,
found
yeah.
before, right.
Segregation of duties that comes up every year for us, yeah, so.
Now we're really
What is
segregated.
that issue, may I ask?
It just, we, ideally would have more people in the financial realm, so there was a larger separation, of duties. It comes up for the town also. It just, it doesn't make sense to hire an additional person just for that one duty, so it's something that is,
I'm getting
that's.
the separation of duties for cross-check,
Yep,
but then it affects the payroll.
yep, or the regular voucher run. And we do have some, it's just that from an auditor's perspective, they always would like to see more.
They want it internal to the utility as opposed to from the town?
Whether, we do have some within the town, because now actually I sign and Wendy signs the checks, and so there are two additional. But ideally, so if Robbie would enter the checks, someone else would print the checks, so that would.
That
and
would get that separation.
that separation, but she, even after she prints the checks, then someone else does look at them, but,
I'm assuming Robbie's bonded.
no.
No?
She doesn't carry a separate bond, and she's not a notary.
She's not actually,
Signing?
I'm not not signing.
Well,
I
Yeah.
have no signing authority on them.
No,
She actually doesn't distribute funds.
no.
Okay.
But would be insured as a staff member of the town, as we
Right,
all
yeah,
would be,
and
but
they're under
yes.
the employee insurance.
Any other questions on that item? Okay. Item number 13 is discussion and possible action, review of water utility expansion determination as requested per the minutes of the February 1st, 2022 meeting. Just a little recap, after we did the study with Strand, it was, the motion was to table that indefinitely, but to bring it back at the beginning of the next year, just to ensure that there wasn't anything that was changed or different that made our feelings different about completing the expansion. So we added it to this agenda just to open that conversation, and ensure that there hadn't been any big or major changes that would make us change our minds on proceeding with that water utility expansion.
I just have one question. Acronym OPCC, out-of-pocket capital cost? Okay.
I think it was pretty clear when we did this that that's something that would be very expensive, would not be received well by the potential customers in the potential service area. And we put a lot of time, effort, and cost into it, and I think we should just not even put it on the menu for next year at this time, just do away with it.
Table it until such time it becomes germane?
Yes.
So this would be a discussion and possible action. I think a motion to that effect would be sufficient, so it'd be noted in the minutes.
Okay, I move that this item be tabled indefinitely and not be brought up until it's brought up as a new or separate project in the future, because something significant has changed.
Is there a second to that motion?
Do those, if those are brought up, Jamie, do they go back to literally, or does that leave you wide open to go back to literally the, what was the engineering firm that did?
Strand.
Strand, their Strand plans or whatever, or if we go back to that area, but there could also be Timberline in that, right? That,
Certainly what Strand looked at was the continuation where the existing water utility is. If the, in the future, it would be to go, let's say, on the west side, just because of something that would occur over there, then the engineering for sure would have to be completed.
oh, no, they have to redo it.
Yeah.
That-
Yep.
But what I'm asking is, I'm just wondering for P's and Q's if we need to still relate to those ones, or it just becomes a new item. If we're dropping,
If it gets tabled indefinitely, it just stays in file. It could always be resurrected by whatever
Okay.
would precipitate it.
okay.
It just stays in the file.
Just dormant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
My
That was
motion
good.
did not imply that we should just burn the documents we need to find.
Right.
Yeah, and it was only one specific area, it was
Yes.
all of Sherwood.
no,
It-
wasn't the other side Apache and then Kingsway-ish?
Which
Two
included,
pieces.
yep, it was Sherwood and then expansion off of, some additional pieces that aren't covered in
Covered right
Camelot.
now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second on the floor?
There's not a second yet. Are you gonna second, Dave, or not?
I'll second, yes, then I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Are we comfortable with all those in favor? Please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item is discussion of possible action on the Water Utility Committee Goal Matrix. I did bring some copies that we had looked at our last time. Some of the items, though, potentially have changed with other projects that we've had going on. I'm wondering if we can, keep talk about the matrix, but also get an update on the natural gas and the cell tower and see if maybe that would change what we would do with the matrix going forward. Because we've had some updates on those two items occur.
Well, should we hold this item in?
Matrix in the agenda order?
if we are, I think if we are comfortable with saying that the next two items may change the matrix a little bit,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can hold this until we review the next two items.
I agree with that, yes.
So on item number 15, which is also is a discussion only, the 2023 natural gas expansion. I had mentioned at the last meeting that we had two projects that were approved by the town with ARPA funds. They were Aspen Avenue, 16th Avenue, Hornet Trail, Homestead Trail, Wood Road, Deer Run Road, and Little Fawn Road. That project, after they re-advertised the commitment from the town, went through at just the cost of the permit to the town, which is $25. So that will be a zero cost line expansion for the town. And then
Is moving forward?
it is moving forward. They will again be utilizing the transfer site this summer to do storage of the equipment and the line, the tubing. And they should be starting very shortly, very soon. Because their lease agreement with us for the transfer site started July 1,
Estimated completion? Is there
end of
anything?
summer.
End of summer,
Yeah,
okay.
early fall. And then the Apache Avenue, 16th Avenue, and Apache Drive, that project is also moving forward. That cost was not a zero cost. We anticipated that would not be a zero cost due to the number of properties that are there, but we do have the 5 years if there is additional construction. That line expansion, though, will serve the Tri-Lakes shed and the Station 2, Fire Station 2. So, and gets us close to connecting with 15th Avenue, where the line stops at 15th Avenue and Apache now. So that project both of those projects should be completed by fall.
How much is it gonna cost the town to do that?
I knew that you were just about to ask that, and I just need to pull back up the number. I apologize, I should have looked it up before the meeting, and I didn't get a chance to.
You were saying Apache, isn't that Archer?
Nope, it's Apache. It runs up Apache.
Wasn't Archer where the, Tri-Lakes and,
No,
No, it's
they're on
Apache.
Apache. They're right down the road from the recycling center,
Okay.
on the other side of 15th Avenue.
oh, yeah.
West of
Okay,
15th.
Got it.
So the total cost for the project on Apache was $46,499.60. And the price of that project expansion was reduced by $50,171 for the 12 meter credits that were received prior to installation. So the refund amounts that would be made for the 5 years for every individual that signed up would be $3,482 for every customer that was achieved after installation of the line.
Okay, and so we have, how much out of pocket so far?
Invested.
Yeah, invested.
For all of the gas line expansions, or
No,
just
the one that
just for
was-
Apache?
Yeah,
The $46,499.60.
46,000.
$499.60.
Okay, so that looks like we gotta put in probably 12, 15 new customers. What happens if we go to 20? Do we get the 3482?
You get an extension when it's zeroed out, it's dead.
Yeah, yes, you wouldn't get additional.
We won't get the additional, so we have costs, but they've got a zero risk because we covered their costs, but we don't have zero risk because we can't make any on the plus side.
That's correct.
That doesn't sound like it's good business.
I don't think our intention was to make money though off the gas line expansion. It was just to get natural gas to more areas of town. So
Yeah.
we understood that we weren't going to make additional funds off the investment.
No, I don't think we should go into it that way. When you do a business transaction, if there's risk, there should be some potential reward for it too, because of the time value of money and everything else. That's just,
But with those two projects, I mean, that's quite a bit of expansion of natural gas in the previous 2 years in the town. I would assume, we likely will focus on additional areas. I know that they had a goal to wanna get further south within Adams County. So I'm not sure after this year, given that these two are going to be moving forward, that there would be additional areas for natural gas expansion, other than maybe the end of roadways where maybe it wasn't carried all the way through,
I
or,
was just gonna ask, do they have any kind of certain project in mind, have they discussed or mentioned?
not outside of these two. I do know that they sent a letter to those that are further south, I would say at
From the
Town Line and
previous
into
one
Monroe.
Where some they had proposed but took it off? Yep.
Yeah, so these would probably be our last major expansion projects for a while. The other item that was on the matrix that we've talked quite a bit about, is that item number 16, discussion only, the cell tower update. And I did share, Emily printed off this morning the conditional use permits that were for the 2 cell tower expansions that went through Plan Commission, and I thought she could better describe for us, where we're at with that and kind of what was the process to get us there.
Quick question. Semantics, should this be cell towers update?
There are 2. They would both be owned by the same company, but there are 2.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep.
So we have one going in on the east side of town on Animal Lane. It's on a large residential parcel, and one on Alpine Drive, down that way. Which is also on a residential parcel, actually, business parcel. I guess if you guys have any questions, I can address those.
do you have a little map that,
I don't.
So the,
Approximately where's the one on Alpine? Near what crossroad, 13?
it's just south of 15th Avenue. There's a series, there's the gentleman that's the woodworker, and then there's, the 2 that are storage units. It would be in the back of one of those 2 storage units.
Around by Hoffman's, kinda. But a little this way, I think. But, yeah, so I got the general idea,
Yes.
that's all I'm looking.
Yeah,
And then the other one is out by the DNR land, on the complete opposite side of town.
Where 8th Avenue, where the bridge would turn and you would go down Anawa like you're going into,
By
the town of
Cranberry
Leola.
Fields.
Yes.
Yep.
Is that
So
why they're clearing that
No.
corner of 8th and, nope,
it's gonna be very minimal clearing if there's any.
it's just a tower, okay.
Oh, I see where you're talking. No, that's completely different.
That
Okay.
was the
So the
kayak,
tower's gonna be north of there.
that was the kayak, for the clearing he's talking about?
Are you talking about the clearing on 8th and Apache?
8th and Apache, yeah.
No, there's logging.
Oh, that's just logging, okay.
Yeah,
I
they're
thought
just
somebody
logging over there.
something was gonna happen there. Anyway,
No, nothing, nothing that I know of. So they had to apply for conditional use permits. It's not it's not a use that we can deny, but we could place, conditions, which we did do, which is very consistent with, other, mobile tower sightings that have been placed in the state. So, I mean, we have 10 conditions here, they're all very consistent. The only thing that really differs between, the 2 is the fence height. So, the Alpine Drive fence, has a requirement of at least 8 feet. The Anawa Lane requires at least 6 feet. That's because a security fence of higher than 6 feet is not permitted in residential districts. And they did not want to allow, a plan commission decided to deny the rezone that would allow for a higher fence height, because it would require a change to agricultural use, which would allow for, livestock, and it's right next to DNR land, so that was a really big factor for them. So now, we have signed conditions for both sites, and they are working to move forward with the building permits, so I'm just waiting on that from them, and then they should be getting going.
Okay, so bottom line is they've both been approved and the plan is to move forward?
Yep, and they've reached out recently on building permits, so,
Can I add, what is the company that's doing this?
Verizon.
Oh, Verizon is doing it?
Yeah, so it'll be Verizon, and then there's gonna be 2, additional carriers, which we are unaware of what those will be.
Oh, that'll be using the towers?
Yes.
Hope it's mine.
Yeah, I have my fingers crossed too.
USL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when those, we will know who it is eventually, because then we do have a co-location permit that those companies will have to complete with Emily, stating that they'll be co-located on that antenna, or on that tower.
Can I ask, do you know, who owns a big tower up by Rome Realty?
That's
Verizon also?
we don't have another cell tower in town. There's a radio tower.
That's a radio tower?
Yeah, but not by Rome
No, it's
Realty.
like by the library.
At the substation library?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a
right, right.
radio
Yeah,
tower.
well, it's only when you're, okay. Oh, that's only radio, okay.
Yep. So
Yeah,
it's
our-
gonna be, it's gonna be much taller than that.
Okay.
There'll be, I think it's
Similar to the ones that,
195 feet and 207 feet.
Enough that they need flashing lights.
standard pretty much
Yes.
tower, yeah.
Yep.
And Emily, can you remind me, did they need guide wires on these, or were they
I
self?
do not believe they need guide wires.
That was my recollection too, because they're self-stacking, they did not need the guide.
I thought they were freestanding.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Emily, can you get a town map? Because you mentioned the streets and stuff, and I've been here for 40 years, and I don't know all the streets. So if we can have a little map with a tower here and a tower there that we can keep, and then when we do something else, we wanna talk about it, we can say, get out your map from this area. You know, it makes life easier for us on the board.
When you understand, or
Yeah.
you can picture it all.
Yeah.
We can do a quick map, and we can actually then just email it to the committee too. Are there any other questions? This was, understanding that the companies did come to us, and I'm sure a piece of that was because of our vastly increased cell traffic, especially in the summer, but it certainly was something we've been talking about for a while at the committee, that we needed to increase cell service, so.
I do know, because I've called and talked to a kind of off-site item, USL, complaining about my coverage, and they ended up getting me to somebody like an engineer and somebody, and actually, go, well, see, you've been pinging off, there's a tower down in Big Flats, there's a tower on the county line, and they can tell you exactly where you've been and what in that, but there was nothing around here for USL, but.
So US Cellular actually roams off of Verizon towers, so that should increase your cell
I'm hoping.
service, even though you don't have
I'm
US
hoping.
And it must have changed when I first moved here. I had always
Yeah.
had 2-3 bars at my house. Now I'm lucky if I get one.
I have one. And when hit a weekend on Fridays, signal drops.
Yep.
Gone.
Can't even get phone calls.
Can't call. You can make an emergency call,
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
what it,
You can get 911. That's all you can get.
Well, if you have Verizon, I have great service all over town right now.
it's just when
Well,
you leave
that's-
town, then you don't get good service.
I drop back to my Wi-Fi, so if as long as I'm in my house or I can be
Oh,
in my
yeah.
Wi-Fi range, I'll drop back to Wi-Fi to be able to make the call.
Well, I
Yeah.
inquired into Verizon and that, and because of the coverage, but I would be paying for their cheapest plan twice as much as I am now.
But you get service.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Emily. So with that, I know Bill grabbed a copy. Dave, I don't know if you need a copy of our previous matrix that we had.
This kind of thing?
Yep, that one, exactly that, yep. I'll take this one back just so I. Sure. So, kind of reviewing back through goals, 1A was to review our monthly financials and the utility director's reports at committee meetings. Obviously, we'll slightly adjust that utility director to manager or office manager and accountant. But I did hear what Dan said earlier about that the financials are also, approved by the town board. I'm not sure if we want to slightly adjust that.
Well, the goal does just refer to review.
Yep, which is what it is the review now, yep.
The town board, how much do they review it? Do they review it, or do they just say, okay?
May be a better question to have.
If you want it from my perspective, I go through everything that's in the packet, and I go line by line on all the budget stuff. So I am doing a thorough review. I can't speak for my compatriots,
I would say that is more the rule than the exception,
I would think.
yeah.
So,
It may seem like a rubber stamp, but I don't believe it is. There's enough questions that get generated to show that members are looking at their information,
Well-
especially financial information.
well, makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's not, we don't just look and, we don't just say, oh my God, all these numbers, and
Yeah.
no,
No,
it doesn't work
okay.
that way.
So, actually, what we're doing is after the fact,
I've,
really not necessary. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it, but I'm making a point that,
it may be necessary in order to ask the questions that you're asking of why this expenditure. And I think that's the germane thing that you get when you're reviewing it, is why did this, or, what happened here? So I think it serves a purpose.
okay,
It may not be the final approval, but it still serves a purpose.
okay, as long as there's some benefit.
Yeah, I think you need to, because you're in charge of the water utility, so, or oversight of the water utility, correct? So you want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you see something that doesn't look right, you aren't going to see it unless you ask, or you won't get the information unless you ask. So I think there's a purpose to it,
Okay,
even though it's not the final approval.
yeah,
Okay, so then that one we would keep. The goal 1B was to review and provide input on the annual budget and capital improvement plan. I think that's something obviously that we'd also want to keep, and we would have that capital improvement item for the next agenda. I think the purpose of that's very similar to what Supervisor Keppel had just said about just,
yeah. But are we gonna do it before or after the town board approves it?
so the review of the budget we'd be looking for before, and we just have to set up our meetings. We'll be setting up our budget meetings very shortly with town board, and we just have to adjust our schedule so it's in line, or that it's happening coinciding, so it comes here and then to town board.
I think the town board would probably like us to go over the budget before they're stuck with it, and last year that didn't happen.
I think that was 2 years ago, because last year you guys did the pay increases, and so that all went to town board. So
Yeah, but that was
you-
only part of the budget.
you, I believe, looked at the whole budget prior to them receiving it last year. The year before it was.
Before we went into private. Yep.
Yeah, it was a little, it got out of sync. Okay. Then the goal 2A, I think that one probably could be removed because it's going to occur unless there would be some connection that the committee would want to have with it's occurring, it's gonna happen.
In my opinion, we as a reason to have an investment in this area because it's growing and prospering in that. So they're always gonna have their eyes out. I think we should have a minor contact with them routinely just to keep a little thumb on the pulse of what they're planning and thinking and doing.
Okay.
I mean, it's just kind of like visit, do we know anything of or that? Or at one point, if we lack something for agendas, we can add, do you have stuff coming up? Can you do a presentation, of what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Would
Okay.
that be an end-of-year contact for the next year? Or would it be early in
It
the
wouldn't be a
in the
contract,
current year?
it just what they're.
Contact, a
Oh,
contact.
contact, I'm sorry, I thought you said.
Yeah, because obviously they're similar to us in the way that they plan their capital program
Mhm.
and then make adjustments, and I don't know what their fiscal year is.
Mhm.
So if it's June to June, or if it's January to
Because we
December.
have really no
So
authority.
when you make the contact would be I don't know what
Just be a
time that, I'm
request,
asking
yes.
what time that contact should make sure that if there is impact,
I'm not
we'd
thinking
be
that
able to.
we do it routinely, do it as needed. They've got a couple things going, so we'll keep an eye on that, and they'll probably keep in contact. But next year, if they don't have one going,
That's,
then we may have to say, hey. what do
Is
you-
there
what do
anything
you
on the
got down
horizon?
pipe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we would do that just prior to our capital, or to our budgeting?
Okay, but we don't make the contact, Jamie's the one who
Right,
makes the contact.
right.
So
But
really,
I'm just asking for guidance on when that contact should be.
Well,
but
Can
the thing
ask
is, I
We
think-
Energies when is the best time though too. I could
Yeah.
I could ask our contact Amanda, like, if
Yeah.
you if the town could be supportive or wanted to know what was happening, is the best time for you to give us that
I
information.
don't think we need to expect to coincide it with the town's budgeting meeting, because that's assuming that it's gonna cost us. It may come in cost-free, again, any
Okay.
expansions or things they're doing, so it's,
Yeah, but, you know, under action steps, that would be the town administrator stays in contact with WE Energies and reports to this committee if something changes. So it would never
that order,
show up
yes.
on anything unless Jamie or the town administrator, and I hope she stays that, does that, okay?
okay.
Because none of us talks to them,
No.
except when we had that one, invite everybody in to sell them on natural gas.
Okay.
Is that a reasonable action step, Jamie?
Yep, and I'll revise this for our next meeting then, and try to add some additional purpose statements kind of on what we've been talking about underneath each goal. Then on 2B, to coordinate with the Rome Water Utility and Public Works on the extension of the Timberline Parkway water service. We had a conversation at town board about that we still wanted to proceed with that expansion because we do want to open up that additional land for sale, and have been working with general engineering on what that expansion would cost. And they just received that bid information back, and so I would be looking to bring that back to the town board and to share it with this committee in the near future, but that I think is still a timely goal because it's happening.
Did Chad go ahead and purchase the materials?
He did not go ahead and purchase the materials because we wouldn't have the staff to put them in.
Okay,
The goal was when Chad was still here, it would allow for the separation to have individuals that would both be in the trench and above, and without Chad here, we wouldn't have that separation. So, it was bid as providing the supplies
Okay.
and the installation through general engineering.
Okay. Who's gonna pay for that expansion?
We had it budgeted as, from room tax for the expansion of the economic development in Rome Town Center. The board did.
Okay, so it's a town.
It's a town,
it's our infrastructure, so it's our expense, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
not a water utility expense, no, a town expense.
okay.
Okay, what's the reasoning behind doing the extension prior to any purchase?
Just to make that, one, we had to take down the trees to put through the road, otherwise the land is not saleable, because it doesn't have 70 foot of frontage. So it makes sense that you would put in that water main before you would build the road. But that land is not saleable until it has 70 foot of frontage.
Build the road as in gravel only?
Nope, it would be paved.
Okay, then you want the main in first.
Yes, yep,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, the main's not under the road anyways, I don't think.
No, it would be in the right of way, but then we just,
Yeah.
it's much easier now to put it in, cause we can just, there isn't things to work around, right?
Right,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm not questioning whether or not we should do it. I'm questioning that, okay, it's gotta be done, but it's a town expense, like all utilities do if they wanna expand, they put it on their future customers, okay?
And as any buyers and, well, I shouldn't say buyers, any builders, then they have a hookup cost, correct?
They would have a connection cost like anyone would have a connection cost, but,
Yep,
yep, we would,
I assumed.
it would be between the CDA and the town board if they wanted to, again, all offers are entertained for purchases in Rome Town Center, but it would be their determination if maybe the purchase price would adjust based on that investment cost.
Okay.
Which is all gonna depend on what is the project and, yeah.
Just, this is a sidelight, since we're talking about the business park area. How much water is the brewery gonna use? Are they gonna use a significant amount?
They're putting in a 2-inch meter, so, I mean, they could be up there with the splash pad depending on
'Cause
how much beer.
that would be a boon to the water department, I would think.
I know that we ran some.
Increase in revenue at least.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
ran some numbers for them, but it's been a little while since, as they were getting some cost estimates for it, but I know that they also hope to try to recycle as much water as possible.
And related to that, are they having a pumping tank system or what for?
They will have both a traditional septic and then they'll have a holding tank that will hold their high-strength waste, very similar to the meat market.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and the town board had to do a variance request that goes, it's not, ours is the town board's is a recommendation. The county actually does the request because of it being septic in nature.
Now, if we put this in, and it goes, is there a, I know you're trying to sell the property in lots, you have no idea. I'm trying to see what the effect on the utility's gonna be. You know, we have a water tower that we fill only at night. Is that gonna cause us in the future to be pumping more during the day? And to look at that, to see what our capacity is, because that's something we might wanna put into our long-range budgeting plans.
And
Isn't it all speculative to what would go in there?
Yeah, it's speculative, but to, at least to say, you know, from history, we do this, look at the water we're using now in the industrial park, add it all up, and say, this is 20% of that land size, therefore we can maybe express or assume, best guess, 20%
Percent increase,
of
yeah.
what it is. And then, what if it's 40% because they're putting in high use stuff or whatever, and look at high, best guess, and low, and see what that does to our water usage.
And I think Chad had previously mentioned that at some points in the summer, not in the winter, but in the summer, we were getting close to exceeding that time of day pumping already, so,
4th of July,
yeah.
every 4th of July weekend.
When the splash pad's a humming and, yeah,
And that's not too untypical, but.
Right,
No, and we can run that on the generators,
yes.
so we don't run electricity.
but it's a good point to bring up now that we just note for ourselves that, especially when the CDA is entertaining offers for that land, that they're looping in the water utility to say, what is this potential effect? Do we need to, when we're putting together an offer or a plan for the property, taking that into account?
Yes, because on one hand, it's added revenue, but the cost could be that incremental cost. It's like your incremental taxes. That next dollar you earn is taxed at a much bigger rate than the first one. This is adding in, and it could be a much bigger cost to supply the water.
Jim, do you have, and I've never seen, is there a map or anything of what that extension looks like?
We can certainly make one, but it's really just running, the line is halfway down Timberline, it's just taking it all the way to 13th.
And I don't mean just the line, I mean the whole Timberline addition.
Oh, yes, we have a plat map that actually is going to Plan Commission tomorrow, and we can, Robbie, can you help me remember? We'll email out that plat map.
That'd be excellent, thank you.
Yes.
Is that just, it stops?
Well, the plat does show Timberline going up, but it also, the road has been called Vienna Trail, but it shows how Vienna Trail is then gonna intersect, north-south in there too.
Oh, at 13?
Between Alpine and Anawa. And
I
sort
might be
of
able to bring it up before we leave.
Yeah,
okay.
it splits that back half of the property, back half of that land in half, like a T.
But I think it's 13 that goes across, so that the Timberline or Vienna Trail or whatever will not hit that?
Nope, Vienna Trail would go from Alpine, and it would cross over Timberline, and then it would,
Oh, Vienna will come over to hit Alpine then?
yes,
Oh,
north-south.
I see
Yeah.
what you're doing, okay, it won't go through to 13.
No.
Got it, I got it, thank you.
But again, the idea of having a map
Yep,
would say, this is where we are, and this is where the proposed is, so we can understand.
It would be nice to see that, James, or Robbie,
yep, we'll get that plat map
Thank you.
sent out.
thank you.
Now, action steps, that's gonna be done by engineering. Okay? And the only thing that really affects us is to do some calculations of what it could bite us 2 years from now as far as supply.
Or
and
generate.
cost. Or generate, either way, it's the effect on the water utility operations.
Supply cost
And
and,
that would be all done by the engineers and the town.
Has there been any proposals made for installation costs on that piece?
we just got back the bids, they just opened the
Oh,
bids
that's
for
right, you said.
installation, yep.
I apologize, I forgot.
Nope, that's okay. Okay. That goal 2C is the implementation, research and implementation of the communication towers in town. That one, I think, at this point, we could take off because there are 2 coming in. And then the last one is the research available infrastructure for expansion resources. And I'm thinking at this moment, given our motion a little while ago, that would also be taken off. We'd be focusing more on our capital investment with our current infrastructure, not on additional expansion of our infrastructure. So those 2 would be removed. But then for our next meeting, I can revise this and add in the conversation and let the committee review it and just make sure that it accurately reflects what we talked about today.
Okay, I agree with that. Does that need a,
It would not need a motion today. We would wait until we had an updated copy. Anything else on matrix? Okay. Item number 17 was dispensed with at the beginning of the agenda, so we would be at dates and items for future agendas and meetings. Next agenda items.
can I ask a question?
Yep, absolutely.
Off of that, I know the presentation to town board and that they did, which the attachment came from and blah, blah, blah. That was all just, informative FYI. Was there action taken?
No,
No
just
action.
FYI.
Okay.
There was no action taken at town board. There'll be additional information. We do have a page on our website that will, as information is added, we will add information to that page and send it out with our news and notices.
Regarding the, solar array?
Yep.
Okay.
So, next agenda items, we would have the meeting minutes, just the review of the financials, the revisiting of the goals matrix, but then we wouldn't need to have on the natural gas or the cell tower for the next meeting. We'll certainly add back on that election of officers if we get some additional people that join the committee. Is there anything else that committee members would like to see on the next agenda?
What's the probability of having more members by the next meeting?
When do we want the next meeting?
That's on my note here.
Again, we can certainly advertise, but I think it's always best if you know someone to ask directly.
Well,
And if you don't feel comfortable and you'd like me to ask directly, let me know.
at this time, I know it was, and we're onto the new agenda, but at this time, we want to discuss routine of meetings?
For next agenda, yes. For when the next meeting would be held, that would
Yes.
make sense.
Well, okay, for the next meeting, and also if any kind of routine.
Yeah, because this one was off routine. I think we had somewhat determined every other month,
Every
but
other month.
we had lots of
The
individuals
last
that
one
were
was February,
traveling.
right?
Right, February 7th.
August, September?
I think we want to stay August, September, just because of budget. We want to make sure that we're having those conversations. We usually have 4 to 5 budget meetings with town board. Those aren't all determined yet, but they will be determined soon.
Okay, then if we're gonna have a meeting in August, a line item should be budget.
Yep, and
On the agenda, yep.
so if we did the second Monday in August, that would be the 14th. Oh, we're holding that for retreat date. We can't do that. Sorry. We could do the 15th.
Tuesdays are really bad.
That's why we moved to Mondays.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the 4th,
That's a Friday.
September 4th?
Oh,
That's Labor Day.
That's Labor Day.
Yeah, that is like,
how
I
about
was being facetious.
the 21st of August?
Right now, that looks good. I will get back to you when I get my calendar at home.
Okay. If we could hold the 10 o'clock, do we want to go, we went earlier this one because we have our strategic plan meeting. But 10 o'clock on Monday, August 21st?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, then, if we're the 21st is a Monday, what would we do for September? I'm not saying we cast it in stone now, but think about it, because we don't want to do it Labor Day, and the week after Labor Day is really, it's not a big time frame. So would we go to maybe something like a month after this?
Well, is this assuming we're gonna be bi-monthly meetings, or?
Well, because of the budget,
Right, I get that, you wanna arrange it around for reviewing before the, yeah.
yeah, so September, we will most likely have a meeting. We're not gonna cast it in stone, but just to think about what we want.
Is there enough on the agenda? Should we just make the next meeting September?
I would, if we could just hold September 18th at 10 o'clock, I think that would be good.
Yes.
And not August?
And no, we'd hold August
Oh,
and
you want to
September.
do 2
whole
months?
August and September is
Yep.
what she's saying.
Yep. Because then if we have budget items, we can, if by chance we wouldn't need it, we can always cancel it. But
Right, or
Yeah.
if you need to pull it up, you could pull it up to 7 days earlier than that, the 11th. Depends on the budgeting process. But if we did it Tuesday the 5th, that's only a few days after the August meeting,
yeah,
doesn't make sense.
yep. So, just to confirm, we're holding Monday, August 21st
10
at,
a.m.?
at 10 a.m. and we're holding Monday, September 18th at 10 a.m.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Anything else before adjournment today? Okay, then I would call,
Motion?
sure, if you'd like to make one, you can.
You don't need to?
You don't need to.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's why, you know the rules of order, Robert's Rules of Order, isn't it?
So I will call the meeting adjourned at 9:34 a.m. Thank you.